Hi, it's Naomi from Fluffy Boots Crochet Creations. Today we are going to be talking about one of my favorite yarn companies. If you've been around a while, you know it is Premier. Yes, it's true. I'm finally going to do a Premier unbagging. Not boxing, but bagging. Because unlike one of the first times when I bought Premier, which let me show you the picture right there. See all that? All those boxes? That's all Premier. That was like my third big order, or third order, my biggest order to date from Premier. It's a lot of yarn. It took me 3 days total to find the homes for everything, and I still have yarn in boxes. If you've seen my unstashing or stash video for the National Crochet Month, day 7, I believe it was, you would see there is still boxes of yarn. But I don't complain. That was not a complaint at all. Because I love Premiere. I really do. I just can't say enough good things about Premiere, to be honest. I really can't. I have yet to come across a yarn from Premiere that I do not like. How's that? I think that's a pretty good statement. So today, oh well, let me let me tell you about something that happened. So last week when I went to record my vlog, it said I did not have enough space on my phone. So in a panic, I was going through and I'm like, well, I know it's going to be videos, so let me see what videos. And I deleted all the ones I knew for a fact were already on YouTube. So it's like, okay, we're okay here. But it still showed I had this huge amount of no space left. I had like 2 megabytes, I think it was, of space. So I'm like, what the H? And so then I thought, okay, well, I'm going to have to delete these other videos that had not made it to YouTube yet. And one of them was my premiere unbagging, excuse me. And I was very excited about it because it was my first time ever getting to talk about a company I really do love. And it was not until I got deleting all of them and they were gone that I found out or had the realization that the software application that I use to make my videos made duplicates. Not only did it give me the one that went to YouTube, but it saved it in theirs application, which of course means it saved on my phone. So once I found that out and deleted all that, magically I had room on my phone. So it's very sad for me because it meant I had to do a lot of re-recording today. Yes, I am doing the biggest share of my recording today because I've been sick. It feels nonstop, but I've had a few days of not being sick, but needless to say, I needed to get to work on getting these videos done so that I can start using the yarn and then realize I haven't done a video on them like I did with my Hobie Twister yarn. I started using it and then went, oh, I forgot to do a video on that. So that's there. So, the other thing that I do want to talk about when it comes to the bigger box stores, because I do normally buy in a large quantity, um, because usually I have an idea of something I want to do, or I'm buying restock, um, sometimes new yarn. If it's restock, I am not going to do the stitch hook test with it. It's kind of redundant because if I'm restocking it, obviously I've used it before. Obviously I love it. There's no point of doing the same thing over and over and over again. It gets boring for you, it gets boring for me. So I would rather focus on doing, if it's a restock, saying this is a restock, or I've already used this kind, so I'm not going to do the stitch thing. And save when I do the stitches for brand new yarn I've not used before. And I think it'll be more interesting for you. Definitely easier for me as a creator to give my opinion on something I haven't used yet. So, that being said, I want to talk about today. I have three yarns, new, three yarns, no, four yarns I bought, three of which are new to me. Well, one is also technically new, but I used it in the non shimmer, so I'm counting it as a restock. Okay, so I bought me, whoa, I almost fell. Premier Puzzle Shimmer. Woo! Do you see the shimmer? Do you see it? Look at that shimmer. Isn't that pretty? They have the prettiest yarn. I mean, this shimmer, I got it, oh, right before Christmas, right after Crystal did her video on the Christmas trees. I bought it in the evergreen, the, what is that one called? Excuse me, I have it over here on my screen. The Jacks. And then I think I bought it also in Riddle. Where is this Riddle? Oh, this is the seahorse. So I already knew I loved it because I'd already got to feel it. Of course, I felt it at the um, Walmart. They don't have the shimmer, of course. I'm not really sure why they only have the shimmer on their website and on, I think, Hirschner's. Please don't quote me. I get a little confused on where I buy yarn sometimes because I love my yarn. It's my favorite. But I had made a blanket out of the original puzzle, which is the other reason I am not going to do a stitch test, whatever you want to call it. I had used the Sudoku for this blanket. That's for one of my adopted grandkids. He absolutely loved it. It went together so fast. It hardly took any yarn, and I'm just like, okay, if I didn't love this before, I love it so much more now. So I bought this and two others for now because I'm going to do that. If you've seen it, I think Juan calls it his color play, where it looks like it's several different kinds of um, puzzle yarn. So what I thought would be cool to do is half of it in shimmer and then half of it in the other puzzle. And yes, I'm going back and forth. Sorry. So let's talk about this before we look at the other colors. So it is shimmer, obviously, 246 yards. Beautiful shimmer on that. 225 meters, 5.29 ounces, 150 grams. 98% acrylic, and 2% metallized polyester. And this is, I almost turned it on, you didn't mean to. This is a bulky 5, which, let's look at that. Yeah, that's a nice bulky 5. I've had others, but the other ones I've had, they're so much closer to a 6. This, though, is a nice bulky 5, and I do mean you don't need a whole lot to make a full-size blanket. Now, if you're doing a full-size blanket where it's like all singles or it's all half doubles and you don't have any chain spaces or it's not a granny cluster, yes, you will need more when you crochet. That's just the way it is. It, depending on your stitch, always depends on how much of a yarn you need. But let's go back to the info one here. So this is 6mm is what it suggests for your knitting needles, and a 6mm also for your crochet hook. And I believe I used an 8 when I did the blanket. I think it was an 8. This is machine wash, and it's in warm, but I do mine in cold just because I kind of save the hot water, the warm water for things that are really soiled. If it's just to clean it, I generally use cold because I don't want to take any chance on anything shrinking. And then it's lie flat to dry. I have not had to dry one yet, so I can't tell you how it dries. I don't want to make a swatch up just to wash it and dry it. But, I trust Premier to say if it needs to be laid flat to dry, then they know what they're talking about. You know, I think so. And the color is, I'm going to have to turn it towards me, sorry. Color is 2118-05, called Seashore Shimmer. So, okay, so back to this. So when you're looking at this, it's a lot of blues, right? But then when you come in here, let's see if I can get in, you got some gray, you got some kind of sandy gray, sandy brown, sorry. So it is, it's just like a sea, that's a hard word today. Sea horse, or was it shore? Shore, okay. Thought that sounded weird as soon as I said it. I was like, wait, what? I really like this one. I think it's really pretty. I'm excited to see this worked up. I only bought 3. I only have to buy more to make that blanket, and then I have to buy the other. Darn, I have to buy more of my favorite yarn. The other color that I went ahead and bought is the Trivia, also in Shimmer. I will get it today, I tell you. And you got your pinks, your grays, and I think I saw just the tiniest bit. Let's go looking. Nope, I was wrong. I was thinking I saw a little bit of purple, but I was wrong. It's all gray and pink, but still very pretty. So far, yeah, I have a theme going. I kind of went with pastels for these. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I do themes, and I think I want to do all the shimmers for the blanket when I do it in the more pastel ones, and then all the darker colors for in the non-shimmer puzzle. So the other one I bought for now is Cat's Cradle, which of course my camera's not giving it justice, which is more of your peach and gray, and I think I would say almost like you got your peach, but then you almost got like a bisque in there as well. So it's not just that peachy tone, you got more of the light paler, almost into your pale orange, but it's a bisque. So these 3 are what I got to start with. Now I do have a Jax already here, and like I said, I think I have the Riddle. I think it's Riddle. It's either Riddle or a Caustic. I'm not 100% sure. They are in another area right now, so I couldn't go look if I wanted to, unfortunately. But so far, that's what I have. So, those ones I'm not going to do the stitching with. That will have to wait, sorry. Alright, I'm going to move these out of the way, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so now is all the ones that I have yet to try before. So I'm kind of excited here, to be really honest. And this part is kind of funny. So the next one I'm going to show you, I actually have owned since it came out. And I had bought them specifically, excuse me, for my daughter to make me some amigurumi princesses, but she has not gotten to it and she hasn't returned it to me. So I thought, well, they're on sale. I'm going to buy them. So I bought some of the mannequins. I am going to do a test on these tonight just because I'm really anxious to see how they do. And while I'm holding this one, I'm going to read another color. It's 158 yards, 145 meters, 1.75 ounces or 50 grams, and they're 50 cotton, 50 acrylic. They are considered a fine, which, yeah, I would say that's a fine too. It's a nice fine too, actually. They say you should try a 3.5 millimeter knitting hook, needle, sorry, I don't know why I wanted to combine that, or a 4.5 millimeter crochet hook, and it is machine wash, warm, lay flat. Now, honestly, for me, these are just going to be amigurumi, and they're not going to be amigurumi that would be made for a kid to play with. So it won't matter about washing it are drying it flat because it'd be spot clean only. So this one is called Bisque, which again is kind of that sandy peachy color, skin flesh tone, a little bit darker than me because I'm very pale. But it's a nice, really nice feeling yarn, and I'm very excited to see what this looks like once I start playing with the stitches with it, which we will do shortly. So there's that one. I also bought it in custard, which is a kind of a yellowy cream like a custard would be. I also bought, I hadn't had this one yet, so I wanted to buy it. It was butterscotch. Isn't that pretty? I like that yellow. It's definitely the butterscotch mustard feel. I like that one. And then, of course, because I'm me, I have to have it. I bought it in black. Now, I think that these four that I just bought, and I have other colors, and I have a whole lot that my daughter has right now of mine. Darn her. I think this is a good start to having a few more colors on hand. I am a big fan of Premier's Cotton Fair for amigurumi, so I'm excited to see what their minikins. Am I saying? Yeah, minikins. I don't know why that threw me for a second. I'm excited to see how this compares to using the Cotton Fair for amigurumi because it was designed specifically for that. A smaller amount, which kind of not cool in its own little way. Not saying that it's like not cool as it's not good enough. I'm just that a lot of amigurumi that I make, I need more than 50 grams. I need 100, 150. So the only downfall to it, really. But it's nice. It's soft. I can tell right now it's going to have very nice stitches because there's a reason I'm a fan of Premier, okay? And I love the Cotton Fair. And this feels so much like the Cotton Fair. And if you can see, there is not hardly a halo to be found. There's a little fluff on it, unfortunately. I don't know where that's from. Who knows? I have cats. It could be from anywhere. But yeah, let's give it a try here in a little bit and see what we think about it, okay? All right, so I'm going to put that over there for now. The next one that is new to me anyways, not new to them, obviously, is their Premier Basic Shimmer. Now, I've used the Premier Basic itself before. I have not used the Shimmer. So the Shimmer is a 4 worsted weight, 216 yards, 198 meters, 4.23 ounces, 120 grams, 97% acrylic, 3% metallic polyester. Okay? So, here again is a yarn that I've used the non-shimmer part, but I haven't used the shimmer. So I'm not going to test this one because I have used the Premier Basic. It's very nice. I like it. It's nice. It's soft. It's, it's not something that when you put it against your face, you can feel the metallic to it, or metallic to it, the metallic polyester that much. And it's also machine wash, warm, tumble dry, low heat. It's 5.5 millimeters in your crochet hooks or 5.5 millimeter in the knitting needles. So yeah, for this, I bought it because I hadn't tried the shimmer yet. I have shimmer in, I think I have it from Red Heart, and I just wanted to try it for some projects coming up for Christmas time or just whenever, because sometimes you just feel like having a little shimmer. That's all there is. So this one, I don't think I'm going to do the stitch test on this because I do know how it works in the Premier Basic. I like it. It's a very nice acrylic yarn. So definitely consider buying it. Last but not least, before we do the stitch testing, this is the one that they just came out with a few months ago. Sorry, top there. I think it was a few months ago, and people were debating on it, and they were comparing it to Red Heart Ombre, and if they liked it, what have you. I made an entire blanket out of the Red Heart Ombre. So I'm not going to do a comparison. I already like the Red Heart Ombre. I love the colors. I think it's beautiful. So I'm not going to do that. I am going to only test what I have from the Premier, which is the Just Yarn worsted. Here, I'm going to read it on another one. The Premier Just Yarn worsted value ombre. So it's 612 meters, 560 meters, 9.8 ounces, 280 grams. It's 100% acrylic. It's machine wash, tumble dry, machine wash, warm, tumble dry, low heat. It's a medium 4. It's recommended for 5 millimeter knitting needles, 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. Now, like I said, I've had this for a few days. Well, I think about 2 weeks now, honestly. And I like it. I mean, I like the feel of it. I think it's a nice feel. I like the way it's put together. It's not the same as Red Heart Ombre, but you know what? That's fine. I think Premiere stands enough on its own that they can do something different and do a different way of putting this together. And it looks like it's a twist to me, but it's a tighter twist. It reminds me of the yarn, if this was a wool, that Yarn Snob uses, which is the same kind of twist. If you've seen that, then you know what I'm talking about. I am going to go ahead and do a test up of this because, like I said, I want to test it. I haven't got to use it yet. I did buy it in more than just one. I actually bought in 4 different colors because I have ideas of what I want to do with it. So, and I'm one of those people, if I'm pretty sure I'm going to like it, I will go ahead and buy the yarn. When I did that really big order from Premier, I was buying a lot and a lot of their basic and their wool select, and I had not at that time used either one. But I had already used another one of theirs, I think it was Just Yarn that you would get at Dollar Tree. And I fell in love with it there. And so when I ordered in a much larger quantity than probably most people would on a yarn they hadn't tried. I don't regret it at all because honestly, I still use it. I still have Wool Select. I still have the Everyday Basic. No, it's the Anti-Pill Melody is the one I still have. I still use them. I love the way they are. I made an entire blanket out of the Wool Select. I love it. I really do. I have no qualms whatsoever using it. So for me to just buy one ball of the ombre just didn't make enough sense to me to do it. I wanted to get it to where I could make things with it and see what I thought. And since I use this thing, sorry, got all tongue tied. I use this kind of yarn for everything from blankets to amigurumi to, yeah, some clothing items like a hat or a scarf, I would do. I I don't make really acrylic clothing, and the only reason is I am a really big natural fibers person as far as clothing goes. But doesn't mean that you can't use it. Obviously, you can use it. So I wanted to use it to make a couple of different things. So to start with, I know I said that twice now. Violet ombre. Then I got it in the burgundy ombre, which is pretty close on the camera to what it looks like. It might be a little more pink on the camera than in real life, but it's still nice. And then I got this one is because I have made with the same one, but they call it apple green for the red heart that I made that entire blanket from. This one is going to be a dinosaur. It's already spoken for by me. This is Fern Ombre. I cannot wait to get this done. You know, as soon as I do, I'm going to show it to you, and I will be talking about how it works up, and I'm not going to hold back. You know, if for some reason I don't like it, I will tell you, but I think that's going to be, I think that's going to be unlikely, to be honest. I know that I'm a huge fan, and I'm probably going in a little biased, but at the same time, going in a little biased means I have a high expectation of what I expect from their yarn. And so when you really, really love a company, every time you get it, you expect them to hit that like every single time. And it's unrealistic, honestly, because not everything every company makes is going to be fantastic. Where this will hit on the scale, we don't know yet, but we will soon find out. Is it going to be an awesome yarn? Am I going to love this so much that as soon as I can, I'm going to buy more? We'll see. Be kind of nice, huh? The last color I bought in that was, let me find the name, Steel Ombre. Now, if you've been around a while, you know this is because I am gothic and I love gothic colors. And you don't know what I'm going to do with this yet. I don't know what I'm doing with any of the other colors but the green at the moment. But that's okay because I'm excited to see what they're like. So, hang out for a moment. I'll be right back and we're going to start doing some stitching and see what we think. All right? Okay. All right, we are back again. So I am going to start with the Minikins. I went with the butterscotch because I thought that might be an easier color for you to see. And I'm only going to try two kinds of hooks, mainly because I don't have a smaller resin hook, I believe. Do I? Nope, I do. Never mind. So we'll have two hooks in the same size, and then my one that I use for most of my amigurumi. And what I'm going to do first is I want to test it as if I was making an amigurumi. So I'm going to use the wood hook first, then the resin, and then we'll go to the metal hook. So because I'm doing for an amigurumi, I'm going to test as if I'm making an amigurumi. Which means that I do a magic ring, magic circle, excuse me, and then I do 6. It's very rare for you to start more than 6. You can use chain stitches as well when you are doing an amigurumi, but for the sake of argument right now, all I'm going to be doing is seeing what it's like in a magic circle and then with a couple rows of increases. Now, there's one little thing that I see right now, and it's, again, not a huge deal. It does have a little bit of splittiness with it, only because it's not woven together like you would if it was twisted. It's twisted, but it's not super tight. It's not a big deal because right now I can tell you I'm getting really nice stitch definition. just for the little bit that I've done with the wooden hook. It's, I don't think I would do the wooden hook, honestly, for this yarn. There's nothing wrong with it so much as I just don't have a lot of slide. I have more grip than I do slide. And you kind of need a little bit of sliding when it comes to amigurumi. I made way too many. That's okay. But we're going to keep going, because that's what this is about, trying it out and seeing what we think of it. And normally I would use a marker, but I don't want to have to pull out a marker for this right now because we're only testing. So yeah, it's a nice yarn. I mean, besides the fact that it's not a super tight weave as far as yarns go for amigurumi, it's still very nice. I was trying to see if I had a cotton fair near me, and I don't, but that's all right. Like I said, I'm not sure I would use my wood for this one. It's a little bit more grabby than I personally like when I am making excuse me, amigurumi. But we'll finish this round and we'll see. And no, I'm not counting as if I was doing the round right now, or an amigurumi where we crochet in the round, only because I'm not making it into an amigurumi right now. This is just simply to test the yarn with different hooks and to see the stitch definition, which I'm sure you would agree with me is probably more important than making it look exactly like I would if I was doing an amigurumi. So we're almost done with this round. Okay, so we're going to take the wooden off, tighten that up, and we're going to bring in my 4 in the resin. Oh wow, that's nice. Yeah, I would definitely say resin would be perfectly good for this. It just slides in and out quickly. It's not feeling like it's grabbing. It's a nice feel with the yarn. I like it. I do. I can't say that I wouldn't use a resin hook for this by any means, because that is giving me a very nice feel. And what was the size that I said? 4.5. So this is just smaller. So 4 is not bad for this, which is good. I generally go a little smaller, but if you're making a larger amigurumi, there's nothing wrong with using a 4, 4.5. It depends on the yarn, obviously. It depends on the stitches. Are you getting the stitches that you want? And it depends on you as a designer. What is it that you really, really are looking for in height? Now, again, it it's not looking like it would if I was doing an actual amigurumi. There's no need for me to set it up like I'm doing one, because I'm not teaching you how to make an amigurumi. I'm just simply testing different hooks with the yarn, and I want to see the yarn definition. but I have to say right now that I like this resin with it. So right now the resin's getting a much better feel to this yarn than I was getting with the wood. Comparing this now to the wood now feels more like it had more drag than this does. Which before it didn't feel like it, but now when I've used the resin with it, it's like, oh yeah, I can feel it, which is very interesting because I don't even use generally my resin hooks for amigurumi. I generally use a metal hook, so now I'm very interested to see what that will be like. So what do you think? Shall we try it? Why don't we give it a try? And you know what? Before we even go down to the smaller one, let's try it with, here, put this over here. This is a 5.5, so it's probably bigger than you would use. So let me grab my other one. This is a 4.5, so it's the size that's recommended. I'm really hoping I'm getting that right in the video. All right, here we go. Okay. It's interesting comparing the two from the resin to this. I am not getting drag, obviously. This is a very smooth surface. Well, my other one is very smooth too, but it's still got a little bit of the feeling that you would get from wood. This is very high polish, so it's different, but it's actually, what's a little interesting is this metal hook anyways actually has more drag to it than the resin and the wood, but not in a bad way. So when I'm saying it's got a little drag, I'm not so much having to hold it here like I would if it was like slipping off of it, but I can still guide it with my finger, but it's moving itself quite nicely down the hook. It's given me that very true feeling of being a hook that I would turn to if I was making amigurumi. Now, I don't normally use anything above a 4 for amigurumi. That's my own personal taste. Now let's just see. Let's just go off here and pretend for a moment that we're going to make something else. So let's try a couple of non amigurumi style stitches. So I didn't do very good on that one there, but that's all right. This is just for testing. So let's try it with a, nope, I gotta rip that part out, sorry. That's gonna bug me. Okay, we'll go to there. That works. Anyone else like that when you're making a chain, if it's not 100% perfect, you just start obsessing about it and trying to make it perfect? I do it so often, it's not even funny. All right, let's do a half here. Oh yeah. That's nice. So it's got a drag, but it still has a glide to it. So it's a nice feel with the yarn. And if you have noticed, I have not had any splits whatsoever. Which some yarns, when you are using, you get splits like right away. Because your head is naturally going through. Now that one's my fault. Your head of your crochet hook is going in to the yarn where it's not supposed to, and then it can cause a mess. Sometimes you may not notice it, especially if you have a fuzzy yarn, that your hook is going into not necessarily missing the stitch, but it's grabbing yarn from the other side, the halo, and then you end up with this little bit of a mess if you're not paying attention. It's just sometimes how it happens. This is very nice though. I'm really liking using this metal hook with it. Okay, so let's try the ultimate, which is my 2.25, and we're going to do, let's go ahead and do a double here. So this one is doing the same thing as the other, the 4.5. It's got glide, but it still has a little bit of a grip to it, so it's not gliding nearly as much as it did with the resin hook, and it's not grabbing as much as the wood. So I would almost say it's like that perfect balance right now between the two, where you are getting that really nice, even flow, as it were. Your hooks, it's sliding in and out of the yarn with ease. It's comfortable to work with. Your yarn is coming out quite smoothly out of its little I can't tell if it has a cardboard in the center, but I'm going to say it probably doesn't. But beautiful stitch definition. Let me do one more row here, and we'll take a look at the stitch definition. Now, I'm not going to do any fancy stitches with this right now, because this kind of yarn is not what I bought for, making a shirt or something like this. This is something I bought for me to use specifically for amigurumi. So I am testing in regards to what I would think of it for amigurumi. If I was going to say make I don't know, I can't think now, a hat or something like that I might have other stitches, then yes, I would test for more. But these were specifically bought for me, excuse me, with the idea of amigurumi or amigurumi clothing as well. So I would not do, even amigurumi clothing is not ones that have like front posts and back posts at all. So let's just look at this. Okay, so here, make sure I got that over here. Where am I? Oh, there I am. Okay. I would say that that's got really good stitch definition. I hope I'm not too close. It might be. Let's just put it on one hand. How's that? Okay. So, oh, did I move it again? I did. Okay. So I would say, yeah, that would definitely be a good yarn for amigurumi, just like it's made. Now let's rip it out, because let's face it, when you're creating, you're probably going to rip out at one point or another. And look at that. Look at how nicely that comes out. There is no snagging. It's coming out smooth, just like butter. So yeah, I would definitely say that I like this yarn, and I would most assuredly use this one without a doubt for making amigurumi, because I just ripped all that out and no problems whatsoever. So that for me, huge thumbs up. Okay, now I'm going to see if I can adjust this just slightly and see if that helps any. Okay, I think that might help. All right, so the next one we're going to try is the Burgundy Ombre. And now this one, because I'm going to do at least one of them in a couple of different ideas, I thought we would try it in, let's try a granny square. And we're not going to use that one. We're going to start where we always start, which is with a wood, and let's go ahead and start with a 4. So made that too tight. What size does it call for? That's why I'm having some issues there with this one. Okay, I am going to redo that one because the 4 was already grabbing a little too much, and I don't want to do a 4 with this yarn. So we're going to go with, you know what, actually let me pause for a second. Now I can grab a 5. Okay, so I pulled out one of my 5s. So let's try that. Okay. That's doing better with it. I don't think I would use a wood for this one. I don't use my wood ones, honestly, very often with acrylics. Just because it does get a drag to it, and it just makes it uncomfortable to work with. So generally, if I'm using acrylics, I am reaching for my resin or a metal hook. I use my wood hooks a lot for my natural fibers like wools, or even a wool nylon mix I've used them for. Yeah, this hook has a lot of drag to it. This is why I want to test these things for you, because it's easy to give an opinion on a yarn if you've never stitched with it and be like, oh, I love it or I don't. But it's another to try stitching with it with different kinds of hooks and being able to say, yes, this is great, or no, it's not going to work well with this hook, try this hook, and kind of helping you do the testing before you invest in it. So I'm going to finish this one up, and then we will go use a different hook and see how it responds to a resin hook. I don't have a problem with the yarn at all. It feels like a acrylic yarn. It's got, so far it looks like it has a nice what's the word I'm looking for, gradient to the ombre. It's not just suddenly, just a couple of stitches and oops, there we are in your next color, and makes it where you're like, oh, well, now I got to really color control. And I don't know about you, but it's nice sometimes not to have to worry about color controlling when you're working with an ombre. Sometimes you don't have a choice. Sometimes the colors just naturally are going to be a little shorter than what you wanted, and then so you have to color control. That's just the nature of the beast. Sometimes we do great, other times we don't. I feel like I'm back to pulling over to that corner, sorry. So this is, again, made with a wooden hook that is a 5mm. So I'm going to put this hook up again. And I don't need that one out. Alright, so I have only 4s over here. I'm so sorry. Excuse me while I grab a 5 again. Okay, got my 5. Alright, so the resin hook. Oh, that's an 8. No, I was like, why does that say 5? That looks huge. Because it was. I grabbed the wrong one. Okay, now I got the 5. Whew, I thought I was losing my mind there for a moment. All right, so the 5 in the resin hook. What do we think? Well, we have to try it, huh? It's definitely behaving much different with the resin. It is seeming almost like it's gliding with ease. I don't know if you've noticed, but my speed's picked up some. Whereas the wood hook, I was still kind of struggling. With this, I'm not struggling at all. I have a really nice drag to it. It's not slowing me down, but it's not going so fast that I'm losing any stitches, because as you go faster, you're more likely to drop a stitch. I'm not having that issue whatsoever here. So yeah, right now I can say that I could see using a resin with this quite easily and having no problem whatsoever, because this is going nicely, nice and smooth. Um, the texture of the yarn is still very nice. It's actually gotten just a tad bit softer, which is kind of interesting because when you feel it on the skein, it doesn't feel that soft. But as I've worked with it right now, I can tell you that feels a lot softer, which I really wasn't expecting. I thought it'd be like any other acrylic, that it won't soften up till you wash it. And here it's softening up as I use it. So I'm interested in knowing now, how will it wash up time and time again? You know, is if it's getting softer now, is it going to continue to stay soft? Or is it going to continue to get softer, I should say? And will it have peeling? I don't know. That's something we're going to have to find out later, huh? But yeah, look at that. That is a nice ombre change right there. And it's working great with my resin hook. Again, I do hold my hooks and yarn differently than you are probably used to seeing. Um, if you haven't seen my videos before, it is because I was a knitter long before I was a crocheter, and I just learned to throw yarn and glide yarn around rather than the wrapping around the fingers. I do a little bit of that, but not at the same extent that others people who learn just crocheting do. It's just how it is. I tried to force myself to do it the other way, but it felt unnatural and it took all the joy out of my crocheting. And I don't know about you, but if I'm going to spend time doing something, I want it to be joyful. I don't want to feel like I am, you know, doing something nonstop that I don't enjoy at all. And so if I'm putting time into something and my tools are not working with me, they're not giving me the usage that I need out of them, they're not feeling right, they're just going to make everything become a chore to do and no longer a joy. And I don't want that. When I put my time and money in to a hobby or as an artist, I want to make sure that I'm enjoying it. Otherwise, there's really no point. All right, so, whoops, I almost messed that up. Okay, so now on to our, I started to grab the wrong one again. Okay, now this metal hook is a 5.5, which is perfectly all right. So here we go. Oh, that's very interesting. So what I just discovered with this, and I really wasn't expecting, I need to redo that part there, is that the metal hook is actually gliding too much. So unlike with the Minikin yarn, which the metal hook felt the best of, the metal yarn, I don't think I would, or a hook, I don't think I would use for a large project with this ombre yarn. It's a little bit too slick of a surface. It's gliding just a little bit too much. I'm feeling like if I go much faster than what I'm going now, I'm going to start losing my stitches, which is very interested. I would be really interested in what it's like to knit with, but I don't know enough. Even though I used to be a knitter, I have not knit in so long, about 30 plus years, that I honestly, I couldn't do a good review in knit for this right now. I'm just relearning how to knit. But I really am interested in knowing what it would be like as a knit texture. So far, I have to say, though, I am loving this yarn. I can see a lot of cat hair, though. And my cats haven't even been in here for a while. Yeah, I can't believe I'm going to say it, but I think that the resin hook would be my choice when using this yarn, which is really not what I was expecting. I honestly thought that I was going to say the steel. But it just shows you that, each yarn, how they're made, how they react with each hook, how you hold it, how the hook has yarn gliding over it. Does it catch on it when it's gliding, or does it move smoothly? Everything is part of finding the perfect hook to use with the yarn and testing out your yarn. The gauge testing, even if you don't want to gauge test as far as your, stitch guiding, which is fine. I don't gauge all the time myself, but I do this. I will go through, especially if I know I am using one yarn continuously and I haven't used it for a while, or I've never used it before. I will test multiple hooks to find the right hook for my project. And if that means I spend an entire night going through all my hooks, then by Jove, I will do it. Deciding on the right size hook for the right size holes, depending on what hook gives me the best texture. Everything plays a factor into it when you are creating. And if you don't allow yourself that little bit of extra time to test your tools, your yarn, and your hooks or your needles, then you're really doing yourself a disservice, because every yarn and every tool reacts differently together. And I can say I absolutely love, this hook all the time, and I grab this all the time, and then you pick up something and it's just like, oh no, wait, that doesn't work with that. So, I love all my hooks that I have in my little spindle here. I use all the time, and every hook is different with every piece of yarn it touches. And I personally do feel like, again, my own personal opinion, it has no merit beyond me. But I do think that you do yourself a disservice if you don't get to know your tools with different yarns. If you've done any kind of creating where you have tools from, scissors and sewing needles and all that, it really pays for you to keep your tools, first of all, in good shape, but second of all, be able to know which hooks work best with what, and being able to say, okay, so I know that I don't like the metal for these, I want resin. Make a little note if you have enough yarn to do it. If you're doing a stitch gauge anyways, and you're playing with your hooks anyways to see which one would work well, make that little stitch gauge and put a little note on there that you used a metal hook, or you used a bamboo hook, or you used a resin hook, just so that brushed metal even is different. It will save you so much heartache in the long run if you already know what your tool for each project is going to be and the best one for it. So I am going to stop that stitching, but let's take a look at that. Can you see that, or did I pull it up? No. Okay. I'm hoping the stitching showed up, but this is all made with, the inside is the wooden 5, the next row is the resin 5, and then the last row is the steel 5. The row that I personally liked working with the most was with the resin 5. I felt like that gave me the best sliding of the yarn on with thread. Excuse me, yarn. I don't know why I said thread there. I like this yarn. I do. I can see doing many projects out of this, whether it's blankets, amigurumi, hearts, hats, scarves, even clothing you could do with this if you like making acrylic clothing. I said I have a preference. Everyone has a preference of their yarn. Do I think the price is good for it? Yes, I do. Would I buy it again? Absolutely. I plan on buying it again. I plan on making a lot of things with this yarn. Is it comparable to Red Heart Ombre? You know what? I think you should do your own test on that, because each is going to have its own things that you like. The Red Heart has its own qualities that are awesome. The Premier has its own. If you look here, I will tell you this, just this little bit. It is thinner than the 4 that is Red Heart. And I like that. Nothing wrong with the Red Heart whatsoever. I love the Red Heart just as much. But I like this, and I like the feel of it. And like I said, it feels a little softer. So I can only assume that because it feels a little softer here, once I go to wash it, it's going to feel better more and more. So I hope this was helpful to you. I hope I gave you maybe some new yarns that you want to try out. Do some testing of your own. It's always best for you to decide on your own. Oh, we should probably rip this out, shouldn't we? Let's just rip it out as we're talking. So yeah, that's ripping out nicely too. It's always best for you to, at least if you're unsure of a yarn, buy one. Try it out for yourself. Don't just take my opinion or anyone else's opinion. Try it for yourself. You may love it, you may hate it, but if you don't try it, how are you ever going to know? That's how it is. If you don't try something, you can't sit there and say, I love this, I hate this, if you've never tried it. Now, if you've tried it and you've made something with it and you've done everything you can with it and you still hate it, then yeah, you probably will hate that for life. But if you pick it up, and you try it and you give it time, you know, I say time, I don't really mean time, but you give it a chance, do a test with it, do a little square with it. If you don't like it, you can always, give it to someone else who probably will love it. Everybody has their own yarn that they love, and everyone has a yarn that they hate. That's just how it is, because we're all individuals. And if you don't try something, you won't know. So I am going to say thank you so much for staying with me while we did this little testing of the two yarns. I hope that they were helpful for you. I hope I gave you some good information that you can continue to use to find the best fitting yarn for you. And if you are not a subscriber to my channel, I do hope you will consider becoming a subscriber and hitting that notification bell so you always know when a video drops. And if you're a returning subscriber, one of my old friends, thank you for tuning in. And for both of you, give me a thumbs up. Let me know what you think of this video. Was it helpful to you to hear about the different hooks with the yarn? Was it not? Do you have your own opinions on yarn that you want to share? Let's talk. Let's talk about this. So until next time, friends, I'll see you later. Bye.